Hey guys, as promised, here's the scuffed guide on how to set up this Totem Chieftan build that's been popping up everywhere. First of all, as always, I'm not the original creator of this build, and all credits goes to Minimized, Swanic and Knuckledust. Thank you guys for all the work you've done for us. Now, onto the build itself. What is it? Well, it's a chieftain. That's pretty unusual in its own, as this ascendancy is sitting at 0.6% on Poi Ninja. On top of that, it's a chieftain that throws traps. Before you ask me what the fuck man, I need to add that not only we throw traps, we also throw traps that cast a devouring totem, and I bet you didn't even know these skills exist. And then that devouring totem will explode, dealing massive amounts of damage to nearby enemies. So that's a trapper, Totem Chieftan. 3.21 is wild, man. Alright, let's get to the meat of it. How this all works. On a Crucible tree there's a node that states Totem explode on death, dealing percent of their life as physical damage. This will sound about average at first, but when you look at how much percent of their life they explode for, you'll quickly realize that no spell can even come close to that amount of flat physical damage. So, how can we actually kill our totems so we can benefit from that node? Well, it turns out that when one of our totems are replaced by a new totem, it counts as totem died. Each time we go above our totem limit, we kill our previous totem, or totems. But self-casting totems is slow and not very efficient, since at best you'll be creating 2 totems at a time. So we opt out to use traps, since that way we can throw 5 traps at a time, each creating 2 totems, basically giving us an insane damage multiplier. Alright, damage is good, but how do we survive? Well, we have 6 endurance charges, around 1000 life regen per second, 8 petrified blood or 20k armor without flasks, 40% fizz taken as fire on top of that, 79 to 84% fire resistance, plus a Robbie flask on top of that, and like 55% uptime of Immortal Call, and insane amount of damage, and what's that cannot kill you. But in reality, it can definitely fucking kill you. And I'm not sure why, maybe it's some part of built-in fuckery or what, but Uber Eater still slaps my ass, as well as Uber Shaper Slam, although they should not. As Path of Building says, I can survive 3.2 Uber Shaper Slams with no flasks. But for general mapping we are pretty beefy, and we can survive like 90% of the stuff that's been thrown at you. I leveled from 96 to 97 doing 8 mod corrupted cemeteries with all increased effect mod nodes, so I can vouch for that. Next thing, I guess, and the most important one, what do we need to start this build? So let's talk about budget. I'd say maybe 2 divines to start farming shit around, then maybe 10 divines to be super comfortable in almost every map and easily kill all pinnacles, then maybe 40 divines to smash tier 16 and kill Ubers if you are decent enough at dodging. What about solo self-found? Sure, Totem Exploding mode is quite common on staves, bows and staplers. Moving on to the items, and the most important thing for us is a Crucible mod itself. Other items are just gravy. Here's a baseline of what you should buy to feel pretty comfortable at tier 16. First of all, stuff with 600% 3 node is a must. You probably want Eye of Malice helmet with high cold resistance and if possible Fire Leech corruption. Then you want to invest in unique gloves called Slave Driver Hand. It gives us a bunch of usable stats and most importantly solves our mana problems completely. You want to buy Torch Oak Step boots because they give us the biggest damage stat Totem Life. Then you want to buy a Leadership Prize, as this amulet is one of the only ways to get actual crit onto this build, as by default Totem Explosion got 0% critical chance. And to help you with that you want 2 brute force solutions to help us balance strength and intelligence. On this baseline we will build everything else. First upgrade is obviously 2120 Devouring Totem, as this is an insane boost to our damage due to the amount of life Totem have. Next is the Owl's Malefiction for that juicy +2 on totems, and the best sockets are 3 red, 3 green. We will pair it with Empower level 3 to further improve our totem life pool. From there, you probably want to move on to +2 gem level staff with crit, cast speed and crit multiplier. Next, you will need to fix up your Chow's resistances and other gear to prepare to move on to Sword and Board setup. As you level up, you should consider going for cluster jewels, because while they're pretty cheap, they still pack a decent amount of area increase and damage. And when you get 2 free jewel sockets, don't forget to buy cheap forbidden jewels with Juggernaut node unyielding for that area of effect and damage also. This setup should run you about 10 divines, maybe a bit more, depending on market prices. And as for higher budget, next step is probably a red blade with that totem exploding node. I must warn you that those swords are pretty rare. It will cost you a pretty penny, as mine cost like 20 divines maybe 4 days ago, and right now I think cheapest is 30 divines. We paired the sword with Dawnbreaker, the no-brainer shield to use on Chieftain due our innate love of fire. And to top that off, we slap Empower level 4 for the juicy 10.9k in totem life. And well, actually, high budget kinda sorta ends here, as there's not much to do. You can of course go for dual wield setup with 2 red blades, but I find that kinda unnecessary. Anyways, I think that's all information that you will need to start this build, and this build is pretty much brain dead. But as always, all the links are in the description. Path of building with some leveling setups, different budgets and items, link to the original thread by Knucklehead, and link to Poi Ninja with variation. Now boys, let's go explode some phallic sticks.